our city manager, Mr. Robert Hort.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, citizens. Welcome. We're going to be talking about the property tax millage rate. What we're going to be asking is where do we need to advertise, where do we need to go? We'll be looking at several different options there, but ultimately you as council make that decision. So, as most of you know, we've seen substantial growth this year in our tax digest. We're up 13.67% overall. That is broken down in several different ways. Part of that is real growth. Actually, the real growth is 6.34% of that number. The new construction valuations that have occurred within the city of St. Mary's over the last year equals out an estimated $64,383,220. I'm not used to those big numbers. So that's actual real growth that we've seen. And we're already, in 3 months into this year, we're already seeing those numbers spike again.
Really?
Make sure I got the right report. I don't have that number, but we're already, last year, we had 1,211 where permits were issued. We're currently at 719 permits issued. Now, that's every kind of permit that you can issue. That's electrical permit, a fence permit, everything like that. So
What's the time frame? Is it annual?
that is the fiscal year.
Fiscal year?
Physical. That's
So-
from July 23.
We have all the way till
June.
June of next year? Wow.
Yes. So we're seeing those numbers increase substantially. Just kind of keep everybody up to speed of where we're at with that. So that's what you're seeing. The rest of those numbers, that what is it? The remaining portion of that percentage is from reevaluation.
Right.
Did you say we had 719 permits total issued this fiscal year?
Just for the 3 months.
Yeah. So
Yes.
far, okay. That's the same as we had back in 2023.
In
All
2020,
of 2023, I think.
2023 was up.
from
1,200.
July 23 to June 24, we had 1,211.
Okay. Yeah, that's this fiscal.
Mansour?
Well, just one that we just
Right.
finished, but I'm talking about
Right.
fiscal
Which
year
is
23.
what the growth is centered on,
Okay.
Okay.
okay? Just trying to get your heads wrapped around
You're saying
what's,
that's new home growth?
yes,
New construction?
or
Well,
remodels
that's
or
all.
whatever.
I think he
Everything.
said, yeah, all the
That's
permits.
the valuation number comes from what the contract, now, this is a caveat. That number comes from what the contractors tell us the value is of what they're doing.
Okay.
So when it's appraised by the appraisal, it could be higher than that. So we have to keep that in mind as well. As most know, the Georgia law requires that a rollback millage rate be computed to offset any inflammatory increases in the digest. The rollback rate for this year is computed at 5.439%. Our current millage rate is 6.01. Okay?
6.01.
Yes, sir. It's also in your handout as well, Mr. Jones. I think we're on page 3. We're recommending, staff is recommending a 5.6 for the 24 millage rate. This will meet our 2025 budget requirements and provide a cushion for property appeals as well as non-payment of taxes, which is something we face every year. So what does that look like?
Before you go any further, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see in here,
Microphone a little closer.
sorry, I don't see in here where we've allotted for House Bill 581 or 10, is it 1080? Or I'm sorry, 1180? Because the inflationary increase in property values, depending on what happens with this constitutional question that we have on a ballot statewide, the rate is not going to be any more than whatever the inflation rate right now, and according to the consumer price index, it won't be any more than 3%. July
That would be
20
that will be in next year's calculation.
Right.
in 2025,
We
July
need-
of 25.
We need to set this.
So we need to set this rate for
yeah,
now,
and then-
for this
then
year.
it- Then it
But
applies.
that is a valid point, a calculation that's going to have to be factored in depending on how that vote goes.
Hey,
So, in the next,
Okay,
in
all
the
right.
next budget.
And
that's correct.
I'm going to be the time warden here, just to make sure we have to be done at 6 o'clock.
We're getting
And
there.
there's a lot of good meat here
Yeah.
in this presentation we need to get to.
All right. So this is kind of the spectrum of what we're talking about. As you can see at the top, we're at 6.01, and at the bottom is the rollback rate of 5.439. The amount that we calculated for the budget was
We budgeted $5,334,000 for this year's budget that we're in right now. So we have to have this amount of revenue at least coming in to meet the budget requirements.
So if you look at the difference in budget and levied number, which is the fifth column, or the next to last column on the right-hand side, that's the difference in budgeted and levied numbers. If we went with the rollback rate, we'd have $107,808 difference to the good. But we're recommending the 5.6, which puts us at $268,892, which is a 2.96% increase, which is what be reported to the state. So there's the number right there.
Yes, sir.
Duh. Looking at the digest history over the years, you can see starting in 2013 all the way to 2024, how our digest has increased basically since 2020 up to 2024. Our digest has had a substantial increase, almost doubling. Our millage rate has pretty well held the same through the years. And the digest and the millage rate history combined, showing the digest in blue, which is it starts at the bottom and then goes to the top, and then the millage rate is the one that's pretty level that you see on the thing. Just as a reminder, you've got the Stormwater Enterprise 4-person crew that is $385,261. It's also out there. It's in the parking lot. Just put it in the back of your mind.
It's not budgeted.
That's not budgeted. That is just there because I figured somebody would ask that question.
We do also have the stormwater utility that we haven't put into play yet as well.
Correct.
Yeah, that
Okay.
couldn't be.
Correct.
That would be a separate fund, though.
Yeah, it would be
Separate.
part of the general fund, it would be part of the
No,
economic.
it would not be a part of the general fund. It would be not part of the general fund, it would be a fund all of its own, but it would still have to have startup
Yeah,
seed, capital.
yeah.
I know them big ones too. All right, so what does that look like? A home with no change in assessed value. Again, a home with no change in assessed value. A $300,000 home, you calculate, its tax is calculated off 40% of the assessed value, which makes the taxable value $120,000. If you'll look at the very bottom line, when it was, as it is currently, 6.01, the taxes would be $721.20. If we were to do just as it is, there was no assessed value, their taxes would actually drop $49.20. Okay? That's with no change to the assessed value.
At the 5.6 millage rate.
Yeah, just to be clear, that's the annual amount.
Yes, that's the annual amount.
Right.
Yes.
That's not right. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, 2024 will be the 5.6.
We're recommending that rate.
Turn that
I
microphone on.
can't get the thing on.
Give me here.
Yeah.
Pardon us for technical difficulties.
All right, I'm on now. Sorry.
If there was a 10% increase in assessed value, that same $300,000 home, at taxable value would still be $120,000. It goes back down to the $721.20. With 10% increase, that kicks it up to $132,000 that's taxable. At the 5.6%, that's an increase of $18 annually. Annually, okay? At the 5.6. Then it goes there. So our question to the council is, what number would you prefer to go to?
Yeah, go,
One that creates the best budget.
yeah, you gotta take, yeah, you're doing exactly what I.
Go right there.
You gotta take them back to the spreadsheet, but I'd like to give everybody a perspective, because as you know, I'm a data hog. So I'm looking at the tax digest history. And back in 2006, the tax digest was 455 million. And, you know, the economy was rather volatile after that. And in 2009, because of the post cycles that were, the digest had gone to 710 million. And then, because it was now catching up with all of the volatility that went on, it went down over the course of 5 years from 710 back to 504. And when the digest goes down, and if we were to keep the tax millage rates the same, we have to cut everywhere that we can. Or we have to raise the millage rate to some degree to try and balance, to keep hearth and home together. But just, so then we have gone from 504 million in 2015 to $1 billion in 24. So tax digest is volatile, and it plays a big role in how we have to try and manage the millage. So it's just a perspective thing. Right now doesn't mean anything to what my friends are trying to ask us right now, what you all want to do.
I think there's a lot of variables that I don't see in this packet that I would really like to factor in. And, you know, well, the first thing, speaking of data, is it looks like the difference between no rollback, the difference between the rollback rate and the 5.6 is $161,000. Is that what I'm
Yeah.
seeing?
Yes, ma'am.
That's correct.
I mean, so,
What are you going to do with that money?
It's $161,000. I mean, so, to me, I'm just looking at the difference and, you know, rolling the rate back and not. I think I'd have to, I don't think I'd be prepared to make a definitive, to have a definitive answer tonight.
Well,
I think I definitely want to consider a lot of different factors here.
the discussion needs to have the perspective that if we don't take the rollback rate,
Yeah,
we have to have 3 consecutive meetings in very short order to discuss the new millage rate with the public.
That would be public hearings for public input.
Right.
That's
So, so the timing's the factor because we've got to settle on that, got to vote on the rate, and then we've got to get the tax bills out.
well, this, yeah,
So we
this,
need December.
This-
That's when you put the tax bills out, right?
Well,
Well,
That's all we want to.
actually, the tax bills last year and preceding years, we're hitting mailboxes right now. So what I'm looking at right now is possibly tax bills not going out till the first part of December, and that's being moving pretty as quick as we can. So, and that would put a due date of February, because tax bills are due 60 days from the date of bill generation.
Okay.
yeah, so the difficulty is, I think we need to do a lot of cogitation at this meeting and see if we can come up with an answer. But you were on your point, I'm sorry, I interrupted your point.
no, that,
I mean, the longer y'all wait, the longer it's going to take to start getting that revenue in. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what we need the rate increase for. Can you delve into that just a little bit?
The rate increase that we're proposing, the $268,000, is simply, it's not really anything for a specific funding for any specific project. It is just simply getting a cushion for non-payment of tax bills and any appeals that would come in. Now, a history of, this would be the second, honestly, I did a history for myself on the difference of budgeted versus levied amounts, and the amount that we're proposing tonight is only the second lowest cushion that we've had in the last 5 years. Last year, it was $300,000, around $300,000. Hang on a minute, let me find my icon and I'll tell you exactly how much it was. Last year, we had a cushion of $372,000. The year before, in 2022, we had $658,000. I don't know if there was something specifically to budget, I can't remember for that. But like I said, what we're presenting tonight is not for funding. I'll repeat myself again. It's not for a specific project or some kind of special funding. It is simply just to give us a cushion, because everybody ain't going to pay their tax bill, just saying. That's why we have tax sales.
Yeah, and let me go ahead and finish off on that. No, you cut me off my finger. But the way that you've used this in the past, have you pretty much needed that cushion that we've established in the past?
Well, this is a bare minimum cushion that we're proposing. I mean, you could go down to the rollback rate, which would only be
No, that's not the question
$100,000.
I asked, Marcia.
I'm sorry.
The question I asked is, have we used what we put in there for a cushion in past years? Have we used all of those funds? And therefore, we can anticipate we're going to need them again this time.
I would
Yeah.
say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I get everybody a perspective? Our general fund budget is $21 million. The general fund budget that, you all invited to and that we go over. It's not the gross budget. The gross budget's 55 or something like that, right?
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
So the budget that we all work on and we discuss with you whenever we're here is $21 million, 268, 892 is 1.3% of the general fund budget. Again, it's a number, it gives you, and all it is perspective.
Where would we, let's say that we went to the rollback rate, didn't give you that 200,000 plus cushion. Where would you get the monies if we exceeded what the budget is based on not having the budget where it should be?
If we did not exceed, if we didn't meet our budgeted revenue amount for general fund, then obviously that would put the burden on other revenues that would be coming in. Hopefully, they would come in more. That would offset that. And at the end of the year, looking after you do revenues versus expenses on the end of the year, if there would be a deficit in that number, then that would come from fund balance.
Yeah, fund balance. And that would be what my concern is, because we've been using
Yeah.
fund balance each year to balance the budget now, and I forget the exact number, but it's up about 2 million, I think, I remember right, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
That we're using, and so
Hopefully.
we gotta be careful not to be going into that fund
Correct.
balance, in my opinion.
And ultimately, at the bottom line, at the end of the year, like I said, I'm repeating myself again, but I want to make sure you understand this, that at the end of the fiscal year, if our expenditures are more than what our revenues that we brought in, then it would hit fund balance. But during the course of the year, if we did not receive the amount of budgeted revenue in property tax, in this year's property tax line item, then hopefully we would receive more revenue in other line items that might possibly offset that. But it's a gamble no matter which way you go. It just depends on what you guys want to do.
Yeah. And we, in fact, with this, we're rolling with the actual millage rate defined, not the one that you get by going to what the rollback rate would be to get to the taxes for the year, but the actual millage rate in numbers is going down, what, 2 points or 1 point?
From what we're proposing to last year's millage rate, it would be going down,
0.4.
thank you.
Okay, so it's 4 points.
It wouldn't be it wouldn't be a mill.
Yeah, can I give everybody another perspective?
Wait, is it point-
Again, this is all this is meant to do is make sure we have the perspective of what we're dealing with. So you're going to hear today a tremendous story about some Herculean work done by staff, particularly with our HR department, and we dodged a $600,000 health care increase bullet that was coming down the pike. And they're going to tell you the story of how they did that, which is fabulous. But that's what we sometimes get concerned about, and I know you look at those numbers and you'll talk about tax increases, but that's a bump in the night that we would be well into our reserves. So the question is, we're trying to factor all those things, and then staff doing a tremendous job of managing each of their individual budgets. And Donna's going to talk about this other particular story tonight, I took away her thunder, but I think it's a perspective that we probably need to understand that we're not advocating staying at 6.01. We know we need to we need to be conservative, and we need to figure out how best we can manage with what we've got. But those bumps in the night are what scares some of us in the back room, so to speak, during the course of the year, when it comes in and you don't have any control. You really don't.
May I just for a second, because I think what's happened is, and this is going back to some of the legislation that has been passed, when we discuss a rollback rate and a millage rate increase, even we're saying it like it's an increase, and actually we are not increasing the millage rate. So with the new legislation, there is also language where we don't have it, well, let's just say that I'm pretty certain that we hope that most people would vote for the millage rate, to not have their valuation increase. But part of that bill also gets rid of the language so that we're not, while we're actually lowering the millage rate from 6.01 to 5.6 that we're recommending? So we're lowering the millage rate, but because of the way the laws have been written, we actually have to discuss it as if it's an increase.
It's a tax increase.
And it's actually very confusing because people are thinking we're increasing the millage rate. We're actually not. We're lowering the millage rate. So I think we just need to make sure that there's a good understanding of that here.
Right.
We just have to have the discussion because of the language, the way the laws are written now. We have to say that it's an increase because we're not rolling the rate back to adjust for the increases in property value that we've had. Now, does that make sense? Because I think that's
Yeah, that's.
and then we have to keep that perspective in mind too. And we're not actually increasing taxes, we're actually decreasing the
And
rate.
we're not
the millage
inviting
rate.
anybody from Atlanta to come down and explain this to us either.
Save us all the pain.
We're gonna understand it and explain to everybody right here.
And
So
that's-
you got the local language.
And
Let
that's
let me
actually-
talk, Bill.
Yeah, I was just going to finish. That's actually why the legislation that you see, those 3 ballot measures, this is also part, and they're not putting all of the details of those House bills on the ballot, obviously, because it would take up 25 pages. But this is why those 3 measures are there, so that we can actually accurately, we don't have to tell you that it's an increase when it really isn't. Does that make sense?
And it depends on whether the vote is up or down too,
Right.
so.
And the other thing I wanted to say is with the fund, that we had the fund balance that we maintain, that's important to us from the standpoint of the 3 to 4 months is what's recommended by the state in order to keep that at. And the reason for it is if we have to go and do a lot of work following a hurricane or some other emergency that might come along. Even though we had significant damage during one of the hurricanes this year, it was really mild as compared to the rest, or other parts of the state and elsewhere, where they're probably digging into that fund balance to pay for some of that. So me personally, as a councilman and a member of the city, is really concerned about keeping that balance so that we can address a emergency issue with staff and other things that we may need, and to go into that and knowingly gamble with that money, I don't think, from my perspective, is a very wise thing to do. So,
Well,
to that.
all right, one more time. Sorry, I can't help myself, but this is historical stuff that's important. That philosophy that we've been respecting all these years about how we manage to what the requirements are showed its mettle when Irma and Matthew came.
Right.
And I don't want to be smug about it, but we didn't bat an eyelash about being in trouble with our finances. We took care of it. And then we rebounded from it. But our financial position, because we managed conservatively, allowed them to manage that without ever having to think about going outside of our own system to be able to make sure we could do what we had to do. And that was quite impressive itself, which has probably been lost on all of us here. But I just bring it, again, I seem to be bringing the perspective up here today, just to help you all understand. Okay. Sorry.
No, I mean, and I guess I also have a question around the cushion. And, Councilmember Riley had asked the question, in 2023 and 2022, or is it I don't even know what year are we in now? 24 or 25?
We're in 25.
We're in the
We're-
25 budget.
We're in the 25, okay, so 24 and 23, you said respectively, we had a 372,000 and a 658,000 cushion that was built in.
Yes.
And then he asked a question, how much of that cushion have we used, if any? Did we use all of it, some of it, none of it?
Pretty much everything on it, because we had to go into the fund equity a little bit each year.
Okay.
We didn't have to go into it as bad as we thought we were going to.
And
We
back,
were fortunate in that regard.
okay, and then back to the mayor's point around perspective, in terms of fund equity, and I think that the gap recommendation is 4 to 6 months of operating expenses,
That's correct.
and we have 4 to 6 months now.
She left.
I'm pretty sure we're close.
I'm pretty sure we do. I think it's
Oh,
like
we got that.
nine, like
yeah,
9
it's
months
in-
right
It's in
now.
our package.
I got it right here.
I recall like 9 months is what the last time I looked.
I think the 9 months is in the water and sewer.
That's a very volatile number, it goes up and down like crazy.
4.7, it's right at 5%. It's right at 5, I'm talking,
Yeah.
sorry, 5
5
months.
months, okay.
Yeah,
So,
Yes.
right, I think that's all.
but it dances up and down.
It
You gotta
does.
average it out.
And right now, it's, our revenue, we're not getting property tax revenue in right now. We're not getting, it's kind of an ebb right now, so later on in the year, that's gonna increase. So hopefully.
Okay.
Who's next? So are you beginning to have a thought about what you want to do? Because like I said, I'm going to push that we try and resolve this today so we can establish the 3 meetings and make, challenge ourselves to have a first week December mailing.
Wouldn't we have to have a special call meeting to?
No, they're
approve
not
the-
called a special call.
No, I'm just talking about what we have to do to approve the millage rate, or is what we
What-
say?
what we have-
It's a question.
What we're looking at right here, if you guys want to go for a millage rate that is above the rollback rate, that would be construed, like Ms. James said, as a tax increase by Georgia law. So by Georgia law, we have to have 3 public hearings, and we have to have a quorum at those hearings. And they have to be one has to be between the hours of 6 and 7 o'clock at night. They have it across the board like that, so all of the citizens would have an opportunity to be present and voice
Also
their,
in the morning.
and 1 in the morning. So that all citizens would have an opportunity to voice their opinion of the millage rate that you are proposing. What I'm looking at right now, if y'all chose to go with the 5.6% that we're proposing, I couldn't get it into the paper until next week. By Georgia law, it says that it has to be advertised at least 1 week prior to the first meeting. So I'm looking at the first public hearing couldn't be held until the 22nd of November at this point. That's the earliest we could have our first public hearing. And then the next week, you're looking at Thanksgiving. So I'm just, that's why I'm saying the 1st of December is probably the first meeting in December is when y'all would pass the millage rate if we chose to do that.
Do you have to have a time period between each meeting? Any set period of time, or could you have it?
No, sir. We can
3
have-
days in a row?
We
We can
have
have,
them all in 1 week.
we can have them all in 1 week. I can have them
Okay.
2 in 1 day. We're gonna have to have one at least, I would say prior to the meeting that you pass the millage rate at, have the public hearing at 6 o'clock, and then council meetings start at 6:15. That's normally what we do, so that we can fulfill that requirement. And then, pass the millage rate at that meeting, but we would have to have 2 prior to that. And like I said, I have to have a quorum. Mr. Blackerby, I checked with him, and he said that we would have to have a council quorum at those
Well, to the
meetings.
point.
At those hearings.
Can we tell you, if we agree, because we can't vote, if we agree, how do we make whatever we pick work today?
If you can decide today what you want to advertise the millage rate for, then I can go ahead and put it into the paper, the advertisement for next
legal?
week.
Well, I think I understand where you're going.
It's not a vote.
That's a
No,
proposal.
but it's still a poll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of something along those lines. So maybe at the council meeting, you can task the city manager to proceed with whatever the millage rate might be.
Yeah.
Can we task you to do that? We don't have.
That's what you're ultimately going to
To
do.
advertise.
I
We
can
cannot vote on
ask
it
you to do
tonight.
that at a certain rate, or do we need to add it as a line item in the agenda for tonight?
Yes, sir.
To tap.
If we can. If y'all want to hold off, you can hold off, that's your call, but that.
We're on speed dial if we can do it. Okay, and it's not to say we're gonna do it just to get it done. If it's not right, we won't do it, for
Right.
sure.
And I will-
It has to, we have to make sure that, we're not muscling people here to do something they don't want.
And I'm-
I don't want to
No.
give that impression.
I agree with that.
Let me
I think
throw
we need
this
to-
out at you as well, too. If you do go with the rollback rate, that would not be construed as a tax increase, and we would not have to have the public hearings.
But you don't have the extra
Yeah.
60,000.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to have all the information, though.
Right. And we've talked on perspective of other things that could happen or maybe may not happen and may be managed fine, and we'll have no surprises in the whole year.
See, to me, $161,000.
Have you got a crystal
it's-
ball?
It's not something that I'm pressed over, I mean, in terms of the overall budget.
Well, it gets to, the 21 million and what we need to accomplish, what we've
Percentage
done.
of that.
I think we have to step back of what happened, what we've done at St. Mary's over the last, each year of those years. It's been significant.
I agree.
And so we want to make sure we're ready. And I'm going to drop the bomb. I know you didn't want me to, but I'm going to throw one more bullet out there. COLA. This does not, you're saying basically almost have the same budget you had the year before. But what about COLA?
I think what I'm saying is, let's have all the information that's going to impact this number. We have a couple of different things that will impact it here. I think it's a better decision if I have in front of me all of the information, and I think we can quickly meet and come to a decision. I don't think, I don't know that we're saying right here and there, because we can't. We can't say that we're doing this right now, right? We cannot vote on it, and I think having it as a line item on the budget, and perhaps could very well be, like today is what, Monday? I mean, I don't know what.
I think I would prefer a special call meeting no later than Monday of next week.
That
As long as you
reasonable.
have whatever.
That's
you-
a holiday.
you specify.
It is.
That's a holiday, Mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Monday is a holiday.
Can we
He
do it
said
on
no
Friday?
later than.
Oh,
If you
so
could have it
Friday?
at the end of this week.
Can we?
So that give you time to get the notice out to the paper for the meetings.
It depends on if they're going to accept it on Tuesday or Friday.
Can-
We can talk.
Let me ask the question, can we special call meeting on Friday?
I don't know, anything I got.
No, I'm kind of looking at the council, I mean,
Yeah, I'm good.
and all it is we provided, you provided your questions, and we'll have a discussion about that, and then if we can vote on it, then you've got Monday to get it ready to give to the paper. The Thursday's paper is,
Thursday?
I'm
Wednesday.
wondering about dates.
Yeah, you got everything submitted
Yeah.
on Wednesday.
Well, I think
We'll
we
be
have to have
fine.
it in actually earlier than that.
We have to have, if we want an advertisement to be in Thursday's paper, we have to have it there by noon on Monday.
So
On Mondays.
that's- So we're looking at the 14th. And then it's the week of the 18th, but we could do the 15th. I don't like to do that.
No,
You know, you
not
can do
the
the 15th. You could do the 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Not the 15th.
What's the 15th?
We're going to be in Atlanta.
Well, I think we have,
Because this is the only way to do it. If you don't want to do it tonight,
Well,
then we, you know.
what are we voting on? That's my question. When we have the special call meeting, what are we going to
You're
vote
going
on?
to, you're going to
Proposed.
confirm that you're satisfied with a specific millage rate and why.
Okay.
That's what your
Comfortable with?
colleagues are asking for. They
Yeah.
want to see specifically what else we might need to do besides cushion for the callbacks from the digest that people will challenge.
The appeals.
The actual approving of the rollback rate doesn't occur till after we
after
have
the
the
hearings.
hearings.
We can't, y'all can't, if you choose, if you instruct us to advertise at anything above the rollback rate, we have to have the 3 public hearings,
Right.
and you can't approve the millage rate until after those 3
Right.
public hearings have been held.
So
That's what it
is.
then it's, you better have it at the first meeting in
Yeah,
December.
yeah.
And what's the first meeting in December?
The second.
Hey,
Tight, yeah, real
very
tight.
tight.
Okay.
So, all right, explicitly, what all do you want for a special call meeting, whatever day Deborah is able to set it up?
Gonna have a week, right?
You asking us?
Yeah, because if you don't have it this week, you miss the paper and you're going another week. And then you're going to go well into December.
Right.
We
So
should-
we need to have it this week.
You need to have it this week.
Yeah, we could
I think
have
we
it
should-
as early as Thursday, right? Deborah?
Sure.
2 days?
No, you only need 24-hour notice for a special call meeting.
Okay, special 24, then we could have it as early as Wednesday. We
But
don't have to
everybody
tomorrow.
make sure, what it is it that you want staff to give you?
Can I maybe help with the wording there?
Yeah.
To the mayor's point, if there's certain information that you want or need in order to make a decision in any direction, please send me an email to that effect and what you're looking for. That way we can have the information available for you at the meeting, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, let me ask a question. Since we're backing up a little bit, anybody have a real problem with Thursday? If we,
Which Thursday was that?
this Thursday?
What time are we talking, John?
That
Oh,
would
as
have-
long as it's before 5, I have class on Thursday.
Have it early?
You got the problem.
Time.
I have a problem with the Thursday.
If it's a quick meeting, I mean, I can leave at 5:15. I mean,
I
4
I
o'clock?
have a previous obligation with the school system and the bait for the food drive on that Thursday, but I would feel comfortable doing it at 4:30.
Okay.
that works.
That's fine.
I'd be fine with that.
Deborah, you got that 4:30 Thursday?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll work for me.
And if you could set the paper up so,
No.
Marcia,
Yes, sir.
you set the paper up so they know we're coming.
I will. I'll talk to
you
him
know,
tonight.
to see Scott, let him know.
Thank you.
Oh, Thursday at what time?
Okay. And
4:30
then-
they said?
4:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
So make sure you get your questions to,
I had something
just,
on there.
and if, from my standpoint, I already know my only one I have is the bullet, is the COLA. You know, and we'll just have to decide if we're going to take risk. That's the discussion we haven't really talked about. The risk of not doing some of the things that we're going to talk about on Thursday. What happens?
Yes, sir.
I think I've asked all my questions this evening.
Is this going to work, everybody?
but it does.
May over.
I believe so. I mean, I think it gives us enough time to gather all the information that we need, but it also gives everyone an opportunity to make sure that they're making the right decision for themselves, so.
Yeah, Kansas County High School is being a process.
Okay.
Then it's 4:30. And what do you call it? A special call, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Is it going to be like a council meeting, or a workshop?
Special call.
No, it has to be a
Council meeting.
special call.
They've got to give us
because we
direction.
have to be
Oh,
able to
okay,
vote.
yes.
We got it. We got it.
Thank you, Mayor.
I know. Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
guys.
Are you good? Any more questions about our numbers here? I mean, St. Mary's Digest is $1 billion. I looked at, I knew it was coming eventually someday. But we don't want to get mesmerized because, like I said, I'm looking at 2006, it was 455, and only 2015, it had shrunk back to 504. And you remember what that crazy run-up was like? People were selling homes for a lot of money. So,
And we said 4:30 for the meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
okay. Well, anything else?
No, it's a good meeting.
Marcia, thank you for the very thorough, understandable data.
That's it.
Anything you did. Deborah,
Yes,
we're
sir.
good about getting ready for Thursday.
Yep, once I receive it, I'll be able to send it out.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, folks. I hope it was understandable. If you got some questions about this, I love to talk about data. Just come on down. And, so we're going to start our council meeting at 6 o'clock.
I got high school being a pain in the ass right now. They said we couldn't